no one realises, but everybody is building their EDH decks backwards. Most people think that you need to build around your commander. In reality, it's quite the opposite. But wait, the format's literally called Commander. What are you talking about? Of course you build the deck around the commander, right? Welcome back everyone, my name's Colin. I love to dive deep into EDH deck building and the science behind it. So if that's what you're into, consider hitting that tempting subscribe button. I love building my EDH decks back to front. The commander is very rarely the first card that I pick. Why is that? Well, first we need some context. Commander, as a format, functions uniquely from any other way of playing Magic. Sorry to any tiny little enjoyers, rest in peace. The structure of the format ensures that you will always functionally have an 8th card in your hand. If this were any 1 vs 1 format, people would absolutely jump at the chance to have an extra piece of removal, a threat, or even just a cantrip. Despite that, I see 99% of decks built with the exact same structure. Find a legendary value engine and throw in a bunch of cards which enable it. End of story. So what's the problem here? These decks usually end up being super shallow. When they're ahead and the commander is out, then they smash it. As soon as they hit a roadblock though, they totally fall apart. I've actually seen a surprising number of players scoop to a single Song of the Dryads on their commander. If you've ever felt this with your decks, let me know below. So, what is the best way to utilise this extra card that we get? The first step, I always outline my deck strategy and game plan. The question I ask myself is, what play experience am I looking for? Not, which commander should I build? Building your deck this way allows for a much bigger freedom of card choice in your deck. You aren't purely limited to cards which work well with your commander. In fact, once you embrace this fully, you'll find that your commander actually complements the rest of your deck, not the other way around. Personally, I like to generally choose a commander which exemplifies my existing game plan. This is what I did for my Grist deck. I knew what I wanted the gameplay to feel like, so when looking for a commander, I chose one which went nicely with each aspect of the deck. He also has a nice little bit of removal tacked on, which lets me just free up a few more slots in the main deck. Thus, the deck doesn't actually rely on the commander at its core to function. If you take this approach to building your decks, then you'll immediately notice the difference. You have far fewer games where it feels like you're just spinning your wheels and going nowhere. Obviously, you can never eliminate variance entirely, but making sure your deck doesn't rely on the commander to function is a massive step towards it. When your commander is in play, it should obviously still feel like your deck is supercharged, but you're just avoiding that sort of all or nothing gameplay that a lot of decks face. Now, if you've fallen for this trap, it's probably not your fault. So many popular commanders offer monumental payoffs for their given strategy that I can see why people would use all of their precious deck slots trying to turn them on. Let's look at Corvold, for example. He's obviously a super strong payoff for any aristocrat strategy. It's very easy to fill up your deck with a bunch of enablers that by the time you realise you actually need more payoffs other than your commander, you've only got like 5 slots left. With tools like EDH Rec available, you will always know every single one of the best ways to turn on your commander, meaning when it's time to cut cards, it's really difficult. Personally, whenever I have this issue, I like to just dive straight into Architect and categorise every single card. I always account for each of the multiple functions of the cards. Honestly, if your deck builder of choice doesn't have this feature, then it's time to find one that does. It has probably had the single biggest impact on tuning decks for me. As with everything, there are caveats to this deck building rule. Sometimes you just fall in love with the specific commander. Now, that's totally fine, but I urge you to still take away some of the lessons from this video. Just because you are building with a specific commander in mind doesn't mean that you should go all in on that card. Vary your game plan so that you have as few cards as possible with the sole function of activating your commander. Trust me, you'll thank me later. Now, let me wrap up this video with a challenge for you. When building your next deck, strive not to select a commander for as long as possible. Choose your strategy, colours and archetype before anything else, and just start building. Try and only pick a commander once you have a good pool of cards already, and find one which can either exemplify existing aspects of your deck, or patch up a weakness you found. It might be a challenge if you aren't used to this style, but it's so worth it, and I'm excited to see what you create below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please press all the YouTube buttons, let me know what you liked or what you didn't, and check out this video where I dive deep into interaction in EDH. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next video, but until then, have a fabulous day.